The BF Bot Manager software has the ability to automatically place bets based on live statistics for in-play tennis markets. The BF Bot Manager has 5 in-play statistics rules for tennis in the Market Conditions tab. Tennis, bet when 15 score. Tennis, bet when game score. Tennis, bet when set score. Tennis, in-play statistics. Tennis, only when selected player. The tennis bet when 15 score rule allows betting when there is a specific score in a tennis game. The star means which player is serving in this game. So star 40 love means that player 1 is serving and is 40 love up and about to serve to win their service game. 40 love star means that player 2 is serving and player 1 is 40 love up. Player 2 is about to serve again and this is a service break point. There are also advanced settings available for tie-break games. Player 1 is the runner in position 1 on the market screen. Player 2 is the runner in position 2. The tennis bet when game score rule allows betting when there is a specific game score in a set during the tennis match. The star means which player is serving in the next game. So star 1 nil means player 1 is 1 game up and broke player 2's serve in game 1, and player 1 is going to serve in the next game. 1-0 star means player 1 won the first game, which was their service game, and player 2 is going to serve next in game 2. Tennis bet when set score rule allows betting when there is a specific set score in a tennis match. 1-2 means player 1 has won 1 set and player 2 has won 2 sets. Tennis in-play statistics rule is very useful as we can set the strategy to only allow betting depending on a variety of in-play statistics, such as number of sets, games, aces, service breaks, and double faults, by either player or both players together, or even the difference between the players. The tennis only when selected player rule allows or prevents betting when player 1 or 2 has won a certain number of sets, or when player 1 or 2 is the server. To set the strategy to prevent betting on these conditions, we need to use the reverse logic box. This video will demonstrate 4 example strategies of how this function can be used. Tennis in play, back and lay losing first favourite, runner position 1, hedge plus 10%. Tennis in play, back and lay losing first favourite, runner position 2, hedge when score. Tennis in play, lay lucky underdogs, and tennis in play, lay love 15. First, let's make a strategy that backs the favourite when they are in a losing position and then try to hedge for profit if the favourite recovers. We can use the 10-step strategy creation method suggested in the previous video. First, click Add New Strategy. Name the strategy, and make notes describing the strategy. This strategy backs the first favourite in runner position 1 for in-play tennis matches, when the pre-match favourite has had their serve broken and is losing by 1 game in any set, and the underdog is about to serve next. Then it will try to hedge out for profit if possible. The strategy bets when the game score in a set is 0-1, 1-2, 2-3, 3-4, 4-5. The star denotes the server for the next game, so the favourite is losing by 1 game and is receiving next game. The strategy can place multiple bets on the same runner if a different scoreline appears, or if the bet at the current score gets hedged. For example, it will bet at 0-1 only once, but will place a second bet at 1-2 if the strategy conditions are met. However, if the bet at 0-1 gets hedged and the scoreline is still 0-1, a second new bet will be placed at the 0-1 scoreline. The strategy will only place bets on odds between 1.5 and 10. The strategy will hedge a bet if the profit is 10% or more of the total profit, i.e. if a £10 bet of odds of 1.5 will make a 50p profit, the bot will hedge the bet if it can guarantee a profit of 5p or more regardless of the final result. 10% of 50p is 5p. Note, this strategy only bets on favourites in runner position 1. To bet on favourites in runner position 2, a separate strategy with adjusted settings is required. This strategy is currently set to place 1 bet per runner and up to 20 bets per market by default, but we want to change this to place up to 10 bets per runner, since this strategy might place multiple bets on the same runner during the course of one tennis match. Click Save. Then, in the Market Conditions tab, let's add an event filter. Add Tennis. Then let's add a market filter, Markets filter, Match Odds, and click Save. Then let's edit the time to bet condition. Change the check mark from Start betting before in-play n minutes to Start betting n minutes after the market goes in play, and set the time to 0 seconds. This means the strategy will only bet in play. Then add a market condition, Tennis, bet when game score, and check the boxes of scores we want the strategy to be allowed to bet on. 0-1 star, 1-2 star, 2-3 star, 3-4 star, and 4-5 star. And here, the star means which player is serving next. So star 00 means player 1 is going to serve next, and 1-2 star means player 2 is going to serve next. Player 1 means the player in runner position 1, and player 2 means the player in runner position 2. This rule is very useful since you can set a strategy to back or lay on any specific scoreline in a tennis match if it comes up. It is also possible to limit the strategy to bet on specific sets, such as only games in the first set, which will be demonstrated later in this video. Click Save. Then, in Selection Conditions, add a bet type. Here add Bet Type by Favorite Position, and set it to Back Runner with Favorite Position 1, and leave the Only 1 bet per favorite position unchecked, so that it allows multiple bets on the favorite in one match. Please note, we want the strategy to bet on the pre-match favorite, not the current favorite, which could be the underdog if they're winning. So we need to go back to the main strategy screen and select Use Favorite Positions from before in play. This is very important. Click Save. Then in the Selections Conditions, add the rule Selections Filter. Here, change the Logic Rule option to And. All selected options must be satisfied. And then check the Allow Betting on Runners by Position checkbox, and enter 1 in the field. This means that the strategy will only bet on runners in the first position. This is important because the bet type only tells us to bet on the first favorite, but with the bet type, Bet on Favorite by Position 1, if the first favorite is in the second runner position, betting could still happen, and since our Bet When score is set up for runner 1 being the favorite, we should limit betting to runner 1 only with this rule. If we also want to bet on runner 2 if they are favorite, then we would need to create a separate strategy with different scoreline settings. We will demonstrate that in this video too. Click Save. Next, edit the back and lay price ratio if needed. Here it is set to 15%. Edit the min-max selection price if needed. Here it is set to only back selections with lay prices between 1.5 and 10. Next, edit the stake if needed. Here it's set to 2. Next, add an after bet rule. hedge or close position. Tick the checks box for hedge if possible to win X% of maximum possible profit and set the profit level to 10%. This tells the strategy after a bet has been placed to monitor the odds and trade out to make equal profit regardless of the final result, if it is possible to make 10% or more of the total potential profit of the initial bet. For example, if a 100 bet at odds of 1.5 will make £50 profit, the bot will hedge the bet if it can guarantee a profit of £5 or more regardless of the final result, £5 being 10% of £50 potential total profit. In the second tab of this hedge rule, in the profit-loss calculation settings, make sure that the hedge stake will be calculated by using selection profit-loss values from initial bet that was placed by this strategy in this single trade. This is to make sure that if there are multiple bets placed by this strategy on this one market, that each hedge stake is based on one bet. Click Save. Then, especially for new strategies, it's good to add a safety rule, such as max profit and loss. Here you can set a max profit of 10,000 and a maximum loss of £50, and you can save that. It's important to understand that this rule prevents new bets being placed after the maximum loss is exceeded, and that means it is possible to lose more than £50 if multiple bets lose at once, but once settled bets result in a loss of over 50, no new bets will be placed. When finished, make sure the markets being used are being auto-loaded. Check your Events and Markets auto-load feature and be sure to add a new setting for adding tennis markets. And here we want tennis match odds markets. And we can also tell it to only add markets that are going to go in play, since we want to bet in play only. Click Save and save and close. Finally, run it in simulation mode, then real mode with small stakes and a safety stop loss to be sure the strategy is working as intended. In this case, we bet on the first favourites that are in runner position 1. If we want to bet on first favourites in runner position 2, we need a separate strategy. Also, what if we want our hedge to only take place on certain score lines, not when a 10% of potential profit hedge can be made? For example, we want the hedge to be made after the favourite has turned the game around from 1-0 to 1-2 and their odds have significantly decreased. Let's make that strategy now. First, we can duplicate the first strategy we made. Then, edit the name. Tennis back and lay first favourite runner position 2 hedge when score. And the notes. This strategy backs the first favourite in runner position 2 for in-play tennis matches, when the pre-match favourite has had their serve broken and is losing by 1 game in any set, and the underdog is about to serve next. Then later it will try to hedge out if the specified score lines come up. The strategy bets when score is 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 5-4. The star denotes the server for the next game, so the favourite is losing by 1 game and is receiving next game. The strategy can place multiple bets on the same runner if a different scoreline appears. For example, it will bet at 1-0 only once, but will place a second bet at 2-1 if the strategy conditions are met. The strategy will only place bets on odds between 1.5 and 10. The strategy will only hedge if the scoreline is 1-2, 2-3, 3-4, 4-5, or 5-6. Note, this strategy only bets on favourites in runner position 2. To bet on favourites in runner position 1, a separate strategy with adjusted settings is required. Click Save. Then we need to edit the tennis bet when score rule to bet on star 1-0, star 2-1, star 3-2, star 4-3, star 5-4, and click Save. In the selection conditions rules, we should change the selection filters rule to bet on only runner in position 2, not 1. Click Save. The bet type is not changed since we are still betting on the first favorite, but when it is in runner position 2. This time, we want the strategy to only hedge at specific score lines, not for a potential 10% profit. For this, in the hedge rule, deselect the hedge if possible to win X% of maximum possible profit rule. Then, in the market conditions for hedge tab, we add a tennis bet when game score rule and select the score lines *1-2, *2-3, *3-4, *4-5, and *5-6. This means the strategy will only allow hedging when the score line is one of these. So for example, if the favorite lost their first service game and is *1-0 down, but then breaks back to 1-1 there is probably a chance to hedge for profit here. But if we tell the strategy to wait until *1-2, then the odds will have moved even more in our favor. In this way, you can set the strategy to bet on specific score lines and hedge at specific score lines. With this hedge rule setting, it will hedge based on the score line, not the odds. So if the hedge odds are higher than the initial bet odds, it would trade out for a loss. But with a score line going from 1-0 to 1-2, this is unlikely. Please note that if we select multiple hedge rules, the strategy will hedge if even one of them is satisfied. So if we selected both hedge for a 10% profit and hedge when score, then the strategy would hedge if a 10% profit can be taken or the specified score line appears. Of course, if the underdog goes on to win the set, the strategy will not hedge the bet, and it will be a simple lost bet. These strategies, as with the other example strategies, are just example settings to demonstrate the software functions, and not actual profitable settings. These must be set by the user.
Click Save, and again you check the rules make sense, run it in simulation mode, and then in real mode with small stakes. Next, let's create a strategy where we want to lay the underdog but at better odds than pre-match. Sometimes in the first set, when the favourite is still getting into their rhythm, they might unexpectedly lose a game and the underdog's odds will come down. We can set the automated betting software to place lay bets when the underdog goes one game ahead in the first set only. Let's click Add New Strategy, name the strategy, add a description. This strategy bets on in-play tennis. It lays underdogs in runner position 2 in the first set if they have a good start and the favourite is still getting warmed up. This strategy bets on these scorelines: 0-1, 1-2, 2-3, 3-4 and 4-5. And note this strategy only bets on underdogs in runner position 2 due to scoreline settings. To bet on underdogs in runner position 1, another strategy with different settings is needed. This strategy is currently set to place one bet per runner. That's fine. And again, we want to use favorite positions from before in play. In the market conditions, let's add an event filter, tennis, and let's add a markets filter, match odds. And then edit the time to bet. Change the check mark from start betting before in play to start betting n minutes after the market goes in play, and set the time to 0 so this strategy will only bet during in play. Then add a market condition, tennis, bet when game score, and check the boxes of scores we want the strategy to be allowed to bet on: 0-1, 1-2, 2-3, 3-4 and 4-5, with either player serving next. Then let's add another market condition. Add tennis in-play statistics and set it to allow betting when the following rules are satisfied: when total sets are within a range of minimum 0, maximum 0. This means the strategy will only bet when 0 sets have been won by the players together, which means it will allow betting only in the first set. This rule is very useful as we can also set the strategy to allow betting depending on a variety of in-play tennis statistics, such as the number of aces, service breaks, double faults, sets or games won by either player or both players together, or even the difference between the two players of a certain statistic. Click Save. Then in selection conditions, let's add a bet type. Bet type by favorite position. And here we want to set it to lay the favorite in position 2. And here we want only one bet per favorite position. Then we also need to add the selections filter. All selection options must be satisfied. Allow betting on runners in position 2 due to our bet when score rule settings. Click Save. Next, edit the min-max selection price if needed, and edit the back and lay price ratio if needed, edit the staking if needed. And here we're not going to add a hedge rule because we want the lay bet to last until the end of the match and not be traded out. But it is also possible to add hedge rules here if wanted. Let's add a safety rule, max profit and loss, 10,000 and a max loss of 50. And here I'll leave it in with a trailing stop loss. When finished, go through the rules again to check if it all makes sense, and make sure the markets being used are being auto-loaded. We added match odds just previously, so this is okay. Finally, run it in simulation mode and then real mode with small stakes and a safety stop loss to be sure the strategy is working as intended. Finally, let's look at one more strategy, betting based on each game's score, which is a game-by-game version of the previous strategy. Instead of looking at underdogs who have gone a game ahead, we can also place lay bets on underdogs if they go love 15 up during the favourite's service game, and we can set it to lay the underdog winning just that game, not the entire match, so this bet could be repeated multiple times during one match. Again, let's click Add New Strategy, name the strategy, add a basic description. This strategy lays underdogs in runner position 2 who are receiving to win that single game if they go love 15 up in any game. This strategy is currently set to place 1 bet per runner and up to 20 bets per market. That's fine, because each runner for us is going to be in each game. Then from market conditions, add an event filter, tennis, add, and save, add a markets filter. And here, for the market filter, we are going to differ from previous tennis strategies because we are betting on each game, not the match. So we need game-by-game markets, and we need to add all of these individually. Game-by-game 2-10 would mean set 2, game 10, set 2, game 2, set 3, game 11, set 3, game 3. Each of these markets will be settled after each game finishes, which means there's a quicker turnaround. Just make sure you've got all of the games, because sometimes they're separate. Here are the set 5 games and the set 4 games. So here we have all the game-by games for 5 sets. Click Save. And also, because we've got new markets here, we need to make sure these are being added in our auto load feature. Again here, we need to add each game-by-game checkbox for each game, for each set. Each of them is considered a different market and must be loaded. And again, we just want markets going in play. Click Save and click Auto Load to load those right now. Save and close. And we can see all of those markets appearing here now and their live scores. Then edit the time to bet. Again, change it from betting before the game to betting after the market goes in play, and set it to 0 seconds, so it's betting in play. Also, in the market conditions area, we may also need to edit the overround book percentage, since the game-by-game markets are quite quick and fluid, so narrow overround limits of 115% may result in bets not getting placed. So here we might increase the overrounds to 150% for back bets and 50% for lay bets. That's quite a wide range. To avoid placing bets at poor value odds, having a price limit correctly set becomes more important. Here I want the lay price of the runner in position 2 to be greater or equal than 2 and less than or equal to 10. At love 15, any odds lower than this mean quite a strong player has gone love 15 up, but odds over of 2 mean, despite going love 15 up, this player is not expected to win this game. It's probably the underdog, and click Save. Next, in the back and lay price ratio, we may also want to increase this, and here I'm going to increase this to 50%, again due to the nature of the game-by-game markets. We need to also add a bet type, and here I'll add bet type by favorite position. Now remember here, we are not betting on the match odds market, we're betting on the game-by-game market, but that still has 2 runners in it, and we're wanting to lay the runner with position 2, and we want only 1 bet per favorite position. That's 1 bet per game market. Click Save. You can edit the stake if you want. Here it's set to 2, and especially for new strategies with wider over rounds and back lay ratios, we should have a max profit and loss. Again, I'll set to 10,000 and maximum loss of £50. When finished, go through the rules again to check that it all makes sense, and make sure the markets being used are being auto-loaded, especially because this strategy is using less common markets. Finally, run it in simulation mode, then real mode with small stakes and a safety stop loss to be sure the strategy is working as intended. In this way, we can see that there are many ways to create the in-play tennis strategy that you want using the BFBot Manager automated betting software. Betting can be controlled depending on a variety of in-play tennis statistics. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we will do our best to help you. Thank you.